that sinusoids are, there's two types of sinusoids. Which two types are there?
Cosine.
Cosine and sine. Let me do cosine. Cosine starts here, right?
Yes.
And this would be a 1, this would be a 1.
I'll be writing here, doesn't do anything.
Cut it down the middle. And this would be, what would these be?
It would be
90. 180. 270. And this would be 360, right? And this would be 0. Of course, if you do it on a square paper, this would be exact. Whereas sine, and this would be y equals cosine of x, right? Y sine of x, this is just a review, nothing you don't know, would be down here, right?
Yeah.
This would be 180, 360. This would be 270, and this would be 90. This would be 1, and this would be 1. Minus 1. Okay. So, what do you know? If I continue this one, or if I highlight, let me highlight here. If I were to continue, or if I were to continue here, what do you notice between these two?
X is negative and X is, well, cosine is always negative, right?
No.
Sometimes.
It's my pens.
You need to go get your medicine?
I have them here, but I need to go.
Okay, no, what do you notice about the graphs? What do they look like? Do they look similar? Are they different? Could they be the same graph? If I didn't tell you which one's cosine and which one's sine, could you be able to tell them apart?
Yes, no.
If I go and I do this.
Yes, cosine doesn't touch the point at 0, and sine does.
Okay, fair enough. But what if I do this?
Still not touching the point.
Okay, so this one starts up here and this one starts down here.
Yeah.
Keep that thought in mind. Let's say that I do y equals sine of x
Close.
minus 90. What does that mean?
That the point to intersect is minus 90.
Point of intersection with what?
With,
And you're all correct.
with sine.
If we call this one x and this one y, it's telling you, what is it doing in the x?
It's moving 90.
It's moving 90 in the
Negative.
positive side, right? So instead of starting at 0, it's starting at 90. And if it starts at 90 and if it's a sine, it starts down here. Is that correct? Which means that this would be 90, this would be 180, this would be 270, this would be 360. And if I'm starting down here, then now it's going to look.
Just give 100. You need to just give 180, right?
So I have to go all the way to 450. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And if you see that, what happens here? Going back to this one.
It goes to 450.
This would be the 450. Now this one goes down first, so this one would be minus sine. Is that correct? So if you notice, y equal to cosine of x is the same as y equal to minus sine, because it goes down, of x minus 90. Would you agree? What did I do? I shifted a couple of degrees in this direction, in the x direction, in the positive x direction. So now you understand why sine is called why cosine is a sinusoid. It's got the word sine in it, but it's a co, and the co is telling you that it's shifted. How much? 90 degrees. Now what happens, that's in general. What happens if I shift, let's say, from this point on, they have to tell you, if they want you to graph, they have to tell you if they want cosine or sine. Because if they don't tell you, it could be either, right? Because now you're shifting. Before this, you knew that if it started up here, it was cosine, and if it started down here, it was sine. But now that they're shifting, how do you know which one it is? They have to tell you, write it as a cosine or write it as a sine. Do you understand that they have to tell you because now they become the same thing? Is that correct? Right. So what happens if they tell you y equals sine of theta plus 70? What do you do? You start out back here, right? Where? At minus 70. And if you start at minus 70, what will the next one be? Ah, big question. Well, now we're going to go into something called the period.
Uh-oh.
Have you talked about the period before? Not a woman's period, but this period.
Depends. Maybe.
Period just means that it repeats over and over and over again. If there's the period in general, if you don't have anything else specified, is 360 degrees. What that means is you're going to complete one full thing, one full curve in 360 degrees. So if you have a sine, it's going to be one of these in 360. If you have a cosine, it's going to be one of these in 360. This is going to go from 0 to 360. Is that clear? So I know that the last one has to be 360 more than this one, correct? So if you start at minus 70 plus 360, huh? 290. So this would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. This would have to be 290. Does everybody see that? Then you subtract 90 here, so this would be 200, this would be 110, and this would have to be 20, right? And then you do exactly this. Give me that look.
Why is 70 negative? It's plus 70.
Because it's next to the angle. So if I pass it to the other side, it would be negative, remember? We've had this discussion like for the past 3 years. Do you remember why? Yes? Yeah? You sure you remember this? Bye. So that's why it starts at minus 70. If that were negative, then it starts on the other side. The amplitude is still 1, so this is still 1. So you do the same exact thing. You have to figure out that half though. Right? And this would be minus 1, and this would be 1. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes? What, let's change it just a little bit. What if I add a 3?
No.
Add a 2. Add a 2. It's easy.
No, man.
Add a 2. Right now there was a 1 here. Now I'm adding a 2. What does that mean?
You multiply everything by 2.
No. It means now you have to put 2 full ones, 2 full curves in 360 degrees. Right? Because it's telling you, you gotta fit 2 of them in there. And if I put a 4, I've gotta put 4 full curves in it. And if that's true, the period becomes smaller, doesn't it? Because then you're gonna get a full thing for this one. If it's 2, what would the period be?
720.
You need to put 2 complete curves in 360.
180.
The period would be 180. Right? Because you've got to put, you now go from 0 to 360, and you've got to fit 2 of them. You've got to go 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? So this one halfway here has to be 180. There's your full one in 180. Does that make sense? If I put a 4 here, what will my period be?
90.
90. Because I have to fit 4 of them in 360. So my period has to be 90. But what if I put 1/2?
Repeat the other one.
If I put 1/2, 720. Because by the time I get to 360, I'll only have half of it. It's telling me I only have half in 360. So I need the other half. It has to be 720. Do you see that? Now, this number here, which we introduced, is called the coefficient. And what did we say the coefficient tells you? What does it tell you? How many times the curve fits in 360, right? That's what the coefficient tells you. And what would the period be? If we have to define it now, the period, what's the period?
The number of full circle.
The first curve. Like when the first
The
curve.
range, the range for one full curve. Right? Make sense? So far so good? So let's try one and see what happens. Let's try, for example, this one. Is it understood what a phase shift is? You start at a different place. Is it understood what a coefficient is? How many times it fits? And the period is what range of angles it goes to fit one full curve, okay?